this edition of the Roundball Report, we begin our countdown to the 1000th show as we speak with former Roundball Report co-host and current NBA TV and TNT analyst Stephanie Reddy. And we'll review the ongoing NBA playoffs and discuss the Wizards coaching opening with two Roundball Report favorites. Coach Butch McAdams, the host of In and Out of Sports on WOL, and Coach Jimmy Fly-Hillman of HSRN. So sit back, relax, get ready for your weekly dose of serious hoop talk because the Roundball Report is next.
What to expect when you're expecting a teenager.
Today we're talking about how to wake up your teen, and this works literally every time.
Good kisses. Good kisses. You heard how loud
I heard. It wasn't you. Yeah. It was the...
Is that bacon?
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Hello, I'm Andrew Dyer, and welcome to the special edition of the Roundball Report, the only show in the area dedicated to highlighting the excellence of the high school, college, and professional basketball teams which play in the Washington metropolitan area. And here with me again is my co-host, the one and only Coach Nikki Lewis. Nikki, welcome back.
Hi, hey guys, how are you?
Nikki, we are counting down to the 1000th show.
Yes.
Believe it or not, we started the show in December of 1996, and it's my distinct pleasure to have a young lady who was so dedicated that I knew she was going to be a future star, literally drove from South Carolina every week to sit in for Christy as co-host when she was pregnant with her first child. I won't say how many years ago that was, but we got current day TNT and NBA TV analyst Stephanie Reddy, along with coaches Butch McAdams and Coach Jimmy Fly. Lady and gentlemen, welcome to the Roundball Report.
Hey guys, welcome.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Now, Stephanie, I remember my co-host and one of your mentors, Christy Winter Scott, who I believe was a counselor of yours at a camp when you were a kid, right?
Yes, University of Maryland basketball camp when Christy Winter Scott was starring there with Vicky Bullitt.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Weller was their head coach, and I went to that camp, and she was my counselor, and she's been amazing ever since then.
Right, and Christy was pregnant with her first child. And she said, I've got the perfect person that can fill in for me. She's just coming off of NBA TV, looking to get some reps. And you literally drove from South Carolina for our non-union pay scale to get some reps. And then you use that along with your other experiences to become the original sideline reporter for the Charlotte Bobcats, which has led for a continued long-lasting career. I'm so proud of you. But the fact that you drove from South Carolina every week let me know this young lady is going to make it.
Hey, you gotta get what you want, right? If you're hungry, you gotta go get it.
Without a doubt. What do you remember about those times, Stephanie, making that trip from South Carolina?
I remember really hoping that things worked out for me, because I was coaching, and then when coaching, it came to an abrupt halt because at that time, the Greenville Groove of the then D League, which is now the G League, the Greenville Groove only lasted 2 seasons. Our first year, which was the inaugural season of the D League, we won the championship. So we're on a total ultimate high, way up here, celebrating, thinking that we're the best thing since sliced bread. And then the next season was the last season. They folded. And so I was kind of stuck in purgatory because at that point of the season, there were no coaching positions available. If I wanted to go back to coach in the collegiate ranks, I was too late because school was starting. I missed the big recruiting period in July. The NBA season was just about to start, so I had no chance of trying to get on somebody's bench there. It was just a disaster. And then television kind of came upon me as an opportunity that I could try and stay close to the game and still use, my coaching analysis from time to time. And I was just hoping that would work out because I always wanted basketball as my first true love. I tell people all the time, I've been passionate about this game forever. And this is a great way for me to be really close to the game and not have the stress of having to break down video and wins and losses.
Now, speaking about basketball, you've done it all. You played at Coppin State. You coached at Coppin, and that, like you said, you were historic. You coached in the D League. How did all of those experiences help you in bringing that, not just more, especially for a woman trying to get into the game, how important was it for you to have such a diversified resume?
Extremely important, because unless you are Cheryl Miller or Candace Parker as a woman, you're not going to get those serious looks on the television side. As an analyst, even as a reporter, you have to have a resume. And for me, being the first woman that coached professional men's basketball was huge, because no one else had done that. And at the time when I got into television, no one had still done it. So it made me unique, and it gave me an opportunity to present myself in front of people who I may not have gotten that look. I mean, yes, I played at Coppin State, I coached at Coppin State, but Coppin State is low level Division I. You know, you're talking about all Americans coming out of Tennessee, Connecticut, who want those same jobs, and they've got the cachet attached to their names. So those coaching experiences helped me tremendously.
Well, you've got two coaches on here with you, Coach Butch McAdams, the host of In and Out of Sports on WOL, and Coach Jimmy Fly Hellman, who coached at the JUCO level. And Jimmy, you were talking, Stephanie's got the pleasure of covering a series that is quite a surprise right now, as the Atlanta Hawks are leading the Philadelphia 76ers 3-2 after coming back from 18 points in Game 4 and 26 points in Game 5, surprising all of us. What's your thoughts on that series, and if you think that Philadelphia can pull it out?
Well, let me just say this to Miss Stephanie. I've driven from Baltimore for the last 10 years before the pandemic. I was not pregnant, thank goodness for that. You got me beat coming from South Carolina all the way up there with a baby do. But the Philly Atlanta series, it's interesting to me, because I don't think this series should be that as close as it is. And Atlanta actually has the lead now. Scratching my head because, you know, Doc Rivers, everybody loves him, but I told you last year when the meltdown happened in Clipperland, he's the only coach in NBA history that's lost 3-1 leads in 7-game series on 3 different occasions. You know, I got to be looking hard at Doc Rivers if they blow this series. They blew a 20-point lead last night. And then last year against Denver, they did it 3 times in 3 separate games, up 3-1. You gotta look at the coaching in that, because they're at home with a chance to lock this series down and take the lead. I'm not too happy with Coach Rivers right now, but they're in trouble because Trae Young, they've not been able to contain him, and they're going home. If Atlanta's going to win it, they need to finish him off at home.
Now, Coach McAdams, you're a historian. I'm sure you are familiar with Stephanie's background and her work, coaching with the legendary Fang Mitchell up at Coppin. But what's your thoughts on her dedication, reaching it to this point, and also your comments on the series that she's covering right now, the Sixers and the Hawks?
Well, first of all, as I always will advise young people who will call me or approach me about getting into radio, first thing, or coaching, the first thing that I ask, how passionate are you? Mm-hmm. Because if you're not passionate, you're not going to be but so successful. And listening to the story of the young lady driving literally from South Carolina to Maryland, that's passion. And as Miss Hughes, Kathy Hughes, the great radio mogul, once told me, she said, I can teach you radio, but I can't give you passion. So I'm very much impressed. And that's a story that young aspiring media types need to know about. Now, to the series. Doc Rivers, well, excuse me. His formal name is Glenn, correct?
Yes.
Okay, because as someone once said, and he may have said, in Philadelphia, please address him as Glenn Rivers, because there's only one Doc in Philadelphia. But secondly, I'm going to say that Glenn Doc Rivers is the Dusty Baker of the NBA. And what I mean by that, for folks who don't follow baseball, Dusty Baker, tremendous human being, great player, and is one of the greatest major league managers for 162 games. But when the postseason comes, can't get it done. What I've witnessed in the last 2 nights in the NBA East is an abomination for basketball. Abomination. And I know we'll get to the Bucks and the Nets game. But for Doc to lose that game, look, nice guy, intelligent guy, but it's a gots to go situation as far as I'm concerned. Put him back in the booth, not at the end of the bench.
Well, Nick, you're occupying the seat that Stephanie once occupied. Do you have any questions for her or any advice you'd like to see?
First, let me say it is an honor, as it is when Christy comes on, to see the ones that came before us. And I love to have you guys come back. It keeps me motivated. It really does. In the current series, I feel the same way as Coach Adams feels. Like this should have been done already. It should have been finished. But for some odd reason, the Sixers they just haven't been able to finish. And you got Joel Embiid and Curry with 30 some points apiece. And then you have Trae Young that comes back with 39. So this series to me is just going too far, further than I thought it would go, honestly. So I totally agree with you, Coach.
Well, Stephanie, it's great for you in that you get a chance to cover, and finally the COVID restrictions are gone, and you have to speak with a mouthpiece. And I know that you're covering this series. So what's it been like covering the ebbs and flows? Because I'm sure the analysts were ready to come in with field time, and then all of a sudden Atlanta came back in games 4 and 5.
It's been something, I'll tell you. And every, you go to every home arena and the crowd is just crazy behind their team because they've been out of the arenas for so long because of COVID. So they're very excited, and it's on 10. The level is 10. Now the COVID restrictions are still there, kind of, but I have to test all the time so that I don't have to wear my mask while I interview them. We still have to keep 6 feet apart. If you notice, they're still wearing the headset, so we're not close to them at all. I test the day before, and I have to take a test just like an hour before I come into the arena, a rapid test to make sure. So, but it's been great. I love not having the mask on because it's just hard to breathe and talk and sound clear. But covering the series has been amazing. And every time it stretches out longer, selfishly, I'm excited as a basketball fan because, I don't have a dog in the race. It doesn't matter to me who advances. I just want to see good basketball. So when you have storylines like you do with these 2 series with Trae Young just carrying the whole team on his back, when he had the right shoulder bruise in game 4 and he couldn't shoot very well in the first half, he was like, I can't shoot, no problem. I'll just get a career high 18 assists and we'll still win. It's just, he's been very impressive to watch. And I don't know what they're going to do, but the Ben Simmons situation with the fouling him and he can't make free throws and he doesn't want to take jump shots, and that is coming home to roost for the 76ers.
Yeah, they held him.
Sly, is there an explanation for a guy that's been in the league for as long as Ben Simmons has to not even develop a mid-range jump shot at this point in his career?
Who are you asking? Me?
I said Coach Fly.
Oh, sorry. Well, if you listen to Doc Rivers throughout the season, he's publicly stated he doesn't care if Ben Simmons shoots. So clearly he's not concerned about him. He just wants him to play the way he plays. But, do I have to bring up John? He didn't have a jump shot for years either. Still doesn't. But my point is, I don't understand, Coach, how professional level basketball players, when you're getting paid millions of dollars, you have time on your hands, you have off season, and you can't make free throws. The Greek freak in Milwaukee, he's standing taking 10 dribbles, Coach, and getting called for a 10-second violation on the free throw line. You don't need 10 dribbles to shoot a free throw. 1, 2, 3, boom. You know, and I watched Greek Freak his hand. He has his hand on top of the ball when he's shooting, so he can't get his wrist underneath of it, you know, and cock it. And to me, these are like, I'm just watching on the TV and saying, I would sit this guy down and talk to him about how, you know, his form. These are professional level coaches. It's just like, I guess they don't really pay attention to that stuff. But then when you lose a series and lose your job, then what?
And Butch, would you say that Coach Budenhauser and Rivers, this is his first year with the Sixers? I don't see him being on the hot seat, but do you think that they should be?
Absolutely. Absolutely, because, well, first of all, the guy in Milwaukee is a disgrace to basketball. What I saw the other night was, as I stated, an abomination. I have been watching basketball at the NBA level since 1961. I started very young. And this is the worst basketball I have ever witnessed. Now, it's sprinkled in with some spectacular play. All right, Trae Young and of course, KD. But beyond that, the 76ers to have a guard miss 10 free throws. That's unheard of at the professional level. To have, as you stated, Coach Jimmy, to have a guy get called for a violation for not shooting a free throw, that doesn't happen in 10 and under. It's an abomination. Now, one quick thing in terms of, you asked a question, simple answer. The guys aren't putting in the work. I'm looking at Simmons shoot. The first thing as a coach I taught, when the official hands you the ball, you don't look down anymore. You look up. You get your 3 dribbles, you take your breath, you bend your knees, and you set the ball up in the chest area, and you follow through. But he gets it, he looks down, dribbles, looks up, and then he shoots. That's a recipe for a disaster.
All right, guys, we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back on the other side, we're going to talk more about the Brooklyn-Milwaukee series and expand it out west and discuss the coaching openings in the NBA with Stephanie Reddy, Butch McAdams, and Coach Jimmy Fly Hellman. So stay with us. Welcome back. And now we're going to continue our discussion of the ongoing NBA playoffs with Stephanie Reddy, Butch McAdams, and Coach Jimmy Fly Hellman. And Stephanie, the other series who the Atlanta and Philadelphia will get a chance to play the winner of, Milwaukee and Brooklyn. There was another game where we had a miraculous performance by KD. But I know you're a sideline reporter, but you're also a former coach. As an analyst, how do you allow one guy to go one-on-one, play 48 minutes and drop 49 points on you?
Yeah, great question. How do you? But he is supremely talented. I will say that. I don't think it's easy to stop him. I think that the way the rules are now in the NBA, it is a clear advantage to the offensive player. And when you have the skill set where you can literally score from anywhere, I mean, I don't really know how you can stop a player like that. And not to mention that he can just shoot over the top. So you have someone like PJ Tucker who's going to get physical and get right into him and cut off his driving pathways. Maybe all he does is rise up and just shoot, so I don't know. You hope he has an off night. That's what you do.
So you think the Bucks don't have an answer for KD?
No, I don't. I think Giannis can say what he wants about, I want to guard him. Giannis cannot guard him for 48 minutes. He might be able to guard him for a couple of possessions. He cannot slide his feet laterally to keep up with KD's handle. That's just what I think. It's not going to happen.
Right.
Coach McAdams, you talked about the abomination that you feel like Coach Budenhauser is doing. Expand on that.
Well, first of all, they have no rhythm and no rhyme. All right, you've got a tremendous height advantage. You've got Lopez at 7 foot taking 3 points consistently. You have Giannis. Now here is Exhibit A. If we all recall, crunch time, late in the game, Giannis has James Harden on one leg, and on 2 good legs, he doesn't play great defense, but on one leg, and the guy is 6'7" inches smaller, but Harden understands that Giannis doesn't have a clue on how to play the game. He's tremendous physically, but he doesn't understand how to play. You remember when Harden's teammate came over to double? Harden waved him off. And what did Giannis do? He took a drop step and faded away, yelling, "What are you doing?" Bad basketball, horrendous basketball, unwatchable basketball.
Well, Coach Fly, before the season and throughout the playoffs, you predicted that Brooklyn would win the East and that the Clippers would win the West. Both teams have suffered major injuries to one of their stars. Are you still confident in your prediction?
Well, I'm heartbroken for Kawhi and the Clippers, but they showed up big time last night without him on the road and took care of business and going back home with a chance to finish off that series. I still think even without Kawhi, I'm not coming off of the Clippers. I'm just not. Phoenix, Chris Paul is what makes that engine run. But if the Clippers play them, even without Kawhi, I think they got enough pieces because they're a group. I mean, Coach, the Clippers are playing basically 5-4 small forwards and a point guard. They're not even playing at center, and they're beating these teams. They play great team defense. I just go back to that Milwaukee-Brooklyn series. Coach, I mean, you got to sit and make adjustments and come up with some other things, even though you might not do it the whole game, but you might do it for, 3 or 4 minutes to disrupt the other team. Okay, you say Greek Freak can't guard KD. Well, Tucker's guarding him. I'm going to bring Greek Freak from the weak side and trap KD, make him pick his dribble up and get rid of the basketball because the length of the Greek Freak, absolutely, you can rotate and recover. You can do different things, though, to disrupt them. There's no way you let that guy drop 50 on you when you got a chance to take complete command of that series, go back home and finish them off. Now, Budheiser, I'm not sure how you say his name. Budenholzer. Okay, he's done. If they lose this series, he's fired, and there will be 8 openings. That's why I told you in the midseason, fire Brooks then when you would add your pick of coaches. Now, Coach, the Wiz, if we want to get into that, they're at the bottom of the totem pole with Orlando on what scraps are left over in the coaching carousal.
Let me just say this real quick. What we witnessed the other night, Giannis versus KD, is something that I've always, and Coach Jimmy Fly, you've talked about it as well, the hidden factor in great players. All right. Giannis physically is probably the best player in the league or close to it. But as I stated, he doesn't understand the game and he doesn't have a big heart. Because if you've got a big heart, you go to the coach and say, "Coach, the last 2, 3 minutes, 4 minutes of this game, I got it." You don't wait for the coach to make a decision. You, as the MVP and one of the top defenders, you go to the coach and say, "Coach, I got it." Didn't do it. And so I don't see Milwaukee coming back. Physically, yes, they can do it. But they have yet to prove to me that they will consistently do the things necessary to win.
Right. Well, you talked about the coaching opening, and Stephanie, before the show, you mentioned how much you like Scott Brooks, and Coach Jimmy Fly, as he mentioned, has been calling for Brooks to be ousted even after they made the playoffs. And it turns out that's the case. What did you like so much about Scott as a person and as a coach?
Scott Brooks is one of the nicest people you'll ever meet, just as a person, without considering any of his coaching. When I first started as an NBA sideline reporter with the team in Charlotte, at the time they were the Bobcats, he was the coach at Oklahoma City with the Thunder. And they have those pregame pressers, right? Where the coach is there and it's a scrum, everyone's got the recording and the cameras are rolling. And I'm like a rookie reporter. And so I'm in the scrum and he says hello to me and asks me some question. I don't remember what it was, but he addressed me by name. And to me, it was impressive that first he knew who I was taken aback, but that he took the time to say hello. And that just comes from him watching a ton of NBA games, right? He's seen the Charlotte games, so he knows I'm Stephanie Reddy because I do the reporting. He didn't have to say hello or anything. So, and to me, that's a huge, because as a woman, sometimes still in 2021, I might be the only woman in a scrum, which to me is ridiculous. And so you often will get ignored and they will act like you're not even there. So I enjoyed that from Coach Brooks, and we've developed a great rapport over the years. In terms of his coaching acumen, you look at what they did this year, and they had all the injuries they had. They got a new player in Russell Westbrook, who thankfully he was very familiar with. And they had Bradley Beal, who, leading scorer in the league. And those two, if you look at those numbers for the team down the stretch, they went from being not even sniffing the play-in game to not just making the play-in tournament, but then advancing. And so that comes from coaching. Everyone's always quick to talk about the things that people do wrong and all the negative things that happen and what you wish could have been better. But I think sometimes you have to take a look at, just analyze it for what it is objectively. And I thought he did a terrific job.
Coach Fly.
Wow, we. All right. See, here's the problem, Coach. You understand me. When I say things on this show, Coach, you a hater. And I'm not talking about Miss Stephanie. She doesn't know me. When I talk about getting rid of Brooks, it doesn't have anything to do with hate. I've seen Whitman in press conferences, and I asked.
Great job, everybody. Stephanie, I'm so proud of you, and thank you for spending a little bit of your time with us. And Coach, tell them where they can catch your show.
They can catch my show every Sunday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on WOLDCnews.com.
All right, that's going to do it for this edition. I know you enjoyed it. It was informative and action-packed. And you can look forward for early season action of the WNBA, playoff action for the NBA, special features and interviews with the players and coaches from the high school, college, and professional basketball teams in the metropolitan area for future shows.
And remember, if it's on the court, we are definitely around the ball. And to all you aspiring athletes out there, remember to put your grades first to make your hoop dreams come true. I'm Nikki Lewis.
And I'm Andrew Dyer for the Roundball. Good night.
Night.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back. Dad! You probably don't remember what you told me.
That was perfect.
But I heard every word.
Even though there is so much against us, you will see me wearing a face covering.
And even with my face covered,
you will see me.
As a son.
As a friend to everyone I meet.
As a fighter for change.
As a woman who stands up for what I believe in.
So join me in wearing a face covering.
to help stop the spread of the coronavirus.
Because this is one small act of kindness that has the power to bring us all together.